Hello, thank you for your interest in the Quantitative Wildfire Risk Assessment update for Oregon and Washington. The Quantitative Wildfire Risk Assessment, or QWRA, and accompanying maps are key tools used by wildfire managers, natural resource professionals, city planners, and engaged stakeholders to help make informed decisions about wildfire risk in Oregon and Washington. The last quantitative wildfire risk assessment for the region was released in 2018, and it's time for an update that accounts for changes in the landscape over the last 5 years, takes advantage of improved fire modeling technology, and incorporates feedback we've received since the first assessment was released. This assessment evaluates risk on all lands in Oregon and Washington, both public and private, and this requires a collaborative approach. The development and update efforts are coordinated by federal and state land management agencies and scientists at Oregon State University. The quantitative wildfire risk assessment calculates risk by combining fire occurrence and behavior information with maps that characterize the values that would be impacted if a wildfire occurred. These values might include infrastructure, ecosystem services, timber, or other things that we value and are susceptible to wildfire. We call these highly valued resources and assets, or HVRAs. We are reaching out to you to help make the Oregon and Washington quantitative wildfire risk assessment as relevant and accurate as possible. Mapping and characterizing the values at risk is one of the most important parts of the risk assessment process, and it benefits from many different perspectives. For the previous assessment, we worked with a wide range of stakeholder groups to characterize these values, and as we begin to work on the updated version, we're asking again for your input and feedback. In this story map, our goal is to share enough details about the values we're thinking of using at this point so you can provide feedback. Please keep in mind that finalizing a list of values is a process, and the information you read might change. To view details and maps about each of the proposed values for the newest quantitative wildfire risk assessment, you can scroll down through this introduction section or navigate to a specific set of values using the tabs at the top. For each group of values, you can read details about the specific factors we're currently planning to include and view maps of the data. These maps are interactive, so you can zoom into specific locations you know well using the plus and minus buttons in the upper left-hand corner. To view even more details of these maps on a full screen, you can use the expand screen button in the upper right-hand corner. Some of the sets of values, like the wildlife-related values shown here, contain a lot of data. If you're interested in just viewing a smaller subset of the data, such as only looking at information about birds, you can turn on and off specific layers by clicking them in the legend. To collapse the legend so it's not on your screen, you can click the button in the lower left-hand corner. Some of the values that have a lot of spatial data have multiple maps that you can click through. To select different maps, just click the one that you are interested in from the icons on the bottom of the screen. Sometimes on a small screen, the icons for the different maps are hidden. In this case, you can scroll through them using the arrows at the bottom, or they will appear if you click the full screen button in the upper right-hand corner. At the end of the story map is a feedback form for you to tell us what you think. This is the most important part, because we really are interested in your thoughts and want to make sure the final assessment reflects local and regional concerns to the best extent possible. The feedback form is fairly general, and you can fill it out for all of the values or just focus on the ones you know best. We're looking for your feedback on whether or not the suite of values is complete and what you think about how we're characterizing specific values. Are there important values or data sets that are missing? Do the classifications make sense to you and do they seem appropriate? This project is a work in progress, and we're slightly further along with some values than others. For values where we have less information, feel free to make suggestions on how we might refine them, bring in new data sources, and move forward. We really appreciate your feedback at this point in the process and your patience engaging with us as this work continues to evolve. Thank you so much for taking the time to participate in this work. If you have specific comments about the values and mapping, please use the feedback form linked in the story map so everyone's responses will be cataloged in one place. If you have other questions or comments, feel free to reach out to our team. Our contact information is at the end of the website after all of the maps.